Okay, well, I'd like to welcome Jacquie Phoenix with me today. Thank you, Jacquie, first of all, for agreeing to allow me to interview you. And also a very big welcome to the UK. I know you've been here for a while now. For anybody who doesn't know Jacquie Phoenix, she is the, shall I use the word leader at the moment, of the lawful...
We don't really use leader, but...
No, it's not not the best word, is it really? But Jacquie runs the UK, Canada and Commonwealth Lawful Dissent. And Jacquie first came to the UK for David Robinson's funeral, sadly, who was the founder of the organisation. Jacquie's now taken over. So Jacquie, obviously condolences as well for David. It was really, really sad. It must have been very hard for you and his family. So when you was coming to the UK for his funeral, did you have a plan prior to that happening, or after David died, did you put a plan together before you came to the UK?
Well, David was training me for the past 2 years for an international push for redress using Article 61. So it was basically his plan all along. I just figured now is the time to do it.
Right, okay. So for anybody that doesn't know what common law is and Article 61, do you want to just give us a brief background into the history of this and David's work?
Practical lawful dissent is, we're standing in lawful dissent. Article 61 is the security clause of our forever binding constitution, the 1215 Magna Carta. And it was invoked according to constitutional protocol on March 23rd, 2001. Okay. It protects the people from a treasonous regime. So it is a law for the people to use. Treason is the worst possible crime that can be committed, as it's the death of an entire nation. So it's even worse than murder. Article 61 is the law that deals with the crime of treason.
Okay, so that's clear. But on that note, so how have our government committed treason? You've obviously mentioned that on the 23rd of March 2001, that was then when the Magna Carta was invoked. Is that correct?
Article 61, yeah, that was when it was invoked.
And that was by the barons?
Yes.
Yeah. So can you explain to people who have absolutely no knowledge of this then what that actually means? I mean, obviously we've got people who are going to understand what you're talking about and some that don't, who think that we've got a legitimate government and are, bending to all their rules. And so what actually happened on the 23rd of March?
Well, on the 23rd of March 2001, when Article 61 was invoked, this constitutionally dethroned the monarch and dissolved all governments of authority throughout the Commonwealth.
Right, okay. So that's going to sound strange for people who believe that the government is legit and that they voted them in and that they're following the government's rules. So, and also what you're saying is that they dethroned the monarch at the same time?
Yes, well, Article 61 is the highest constitutional law ever written. Right. It deals with the crime of treason, and that's what is happening. What you're seeing today is criminals imposing unlawful legislation. Under common law, there are only 4 tenets we must abide: cause no harm, cause no loss, commit no fraud, and keep the peace. The government is violating all 4 of those laws against each and every one of us before we even have our morning coffee.
Right, okay. So what can people do? What is the actions that people can take in order to remedy this?
Well, Article 61 is the only law in effect. So when there's only one law in effect, you're either obeying it or you're not.
Right, okay.
So we all have a constitutional duty to stand under Article 61 and defend the Constitution that protects us. So we take an oath of Article 61. It's a document of intent that proves that we are obeying the law. It is unlawful to support a treasonous regime in any way, shape, or form. So that means it is currently unlawful to vote, pay taxes, fines, fees, It is unlawful to comply with the current social distancing regulations, etc. These are criminals telling us what to do, and we can't have that.
If the government know, though, that they are acting treasonously, how can they justify getting away with that?
They think they're above the law.
Right.
And Article 61 clearly states that no one is above the law, not even the head of state, which we know as the monarch.
Okay.
That is just a job title. The Queen swore a coronation oath in 1953 to protect our sovereignty and uphold our common law justice system that puts the people in charge over government.
Right.
They're public servants. They work for us. They are not there to rule us. They work for us.
Right. Okay.
And they have usurped our sovereignty. They've usurped our courts. And that's high treason.
Of course. So regards the monarch then, if we haven't had a monarch since 2001 either, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So I heard you say in an interview that in order to reinstate the Constitution of common law, we need a monarch. So what happens there?
Not right away. What happens is we need to use Article 61 to restore the rule of law.
Right.
That puts the people back in power of our own government.
Right. Okay.
Because they're only allowed to create acts and statutes, but they must fall within the confines of our Constitution. That means they can only add protection to the people. They cannot remove protection. That means any legislation they come out with cannot cause us harm, loss, it cannot be fraudulent, and it cannot be a breach of our peace. Okay. Everything that they're doing right now violates all of that.
Absolutely.
And it's just greed. It's greed and control.
Absolutely. So what if people don't take the steps to stand under common law, are they still affected by the acts and statutes, even though they're treasonous?
Yes, it's aiding and abetting. You're granting authority where there is none.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I remember you saying you can't use the system to fight the system. You used an analogy. I can't remember what you said exactly.
You can't destroy the corpus juris by using the corpus juris any more than you can melt an iceberg with an ice cube.
Right, that's the one. Yeah, I remember now. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the redress tour. We'll come on to that because I obviously want people to know what they can do and how they can get involved in this. But I do have a few more questions. So one of them is regarding the fragmentation of the different kind of fractions of the common law community, if you like. I mean, obviously, your movement stands under Magna Carta 6.1, but you have other movements like lawful assent and also freedom by way of an email, and also the Michael Obenesia, which I wanted to talk about because obviously there's quite a lot of confusion over this. So are you happy just to kind of explain that, where there seems to be
For starters, our common law system is not effective because it cannot be enforced at this time. Criminals have our courts.
Right.
Every courthouse is already a common law jurisdiction, but they're being run by criminals.
Right.
So we need to get our courts back.
Okay.
We need to restore the rule of law. Okay. There's a big difference between ascending and descending. We're not granting permission. We're dissenting against the lack of authority. Right. So there's a difference right there.
Okay.
As far as Michael Obenesia goes, he's committing high treason against the people with that Magna Carta 2020. So, only the people can change their constitution, but it has to be done via a constitutional convention of the people throughout the realm. That includes countries like Canada and Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, Jamaica. All of these places need to have a sovereign say in the constitution that protects them. I didn't get a say in that document, did you?
Absolutely not.
Exactly. So he took it upon himself to rewrite our constitution, and he thinks that it's our new constitution. It's not.
So he's acting like the lawmakers then, isn't he, in that sense?
Exactly. And it's even worse to try to write a new constitution when the security clause of our constitution is in effect.
Right. Okay. So when the barons invoked Article 61, and I understand that that can't ever be broken unless you say the people actually go against the Magna Carta and decide they don't want it anymore. Is that correct? So it still stands unless the people say that they don't want it anymore.
Exactly. And let's face it, the people would never remove the only protection we have.
Absolutely. Obviously,
it's just common sense.
Obviously, the problem is people don't know that that's the protection they have. So that is why it's so important to get this message out to people who have absolutely no clue that they're standing under a treasonous government. So obviously you're in the UK now, and I understand that you've been doing tours around the UK, Jacquie. Is that correct?
Yes. I've got all the treason evidence with me. I've got David's strategy guide, and we're gonna go for redress. So I've been doing a tour around the UK, letting people know exactly what needs to be done in order for us to restore the rule of law. I can't really say exactly what the plan is.
Okay.
People are going to have to come to the event and find out for themselves what needs to be done. But yeah, our Article 61 is like an instruction manual to the people. It tells us exactly what to do. Right,
so it's people uniting together to take back their power against this treasonous regime. Yeah. So if people want to, how many meetings or how many places have you already visited on this tour, Jacquie?
Oh gosh, I can't even say exactly how many events we've done, but we've done quite a few. I actually am in the middle of a break right now because I exhausted myself and my voice. So
if people want to get involved,
in the air.
Sorry, say that again. I interrupted you.
The excitement is in the air. People are excited once they hear what the plans are for redress. They're completely happy. They're overjoyed with hope again. Wow. And yeah,
and that's
some of them are even planning the victory party already.
Oh, bless you. So it's the real hope we need and not the fake hope, which I'm going to come on to in a while. So if people want to get involved in attending these meetings, Jacquie, what is the best advice to give those people? Obviously, you've got the Facebook page, you've got your website as well, and I can put all the links in after. Is that the best place to go to get the information on these events?
Yes, go to the Facebook group Practical Lawful Dissent UK, Canada and Commonwealth. We post the event schedule regularly. It's updated regularly. All the documents we use are in there, as well as admin help and support. So you don't have to feel like you're going through the process alone. If you have questions about the documents, you can always ask. We've got an excellent team of admins that help. Brilliant. So that's the best place to go.
Okay.
Anyone out there that has venues that we could use for these events, get in contact with us so we can organize something in your area.
Brilliant.
I don't want to be on tour forever, so the more people we can reach, the faster, the better.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's why I wanted to do this video today, to get it out there so that we can try and get it moving even quicker than it already is after your break. So just a little quick talk about the fake kind of hope that we've had. I wasn't necessarily going to speak about this, but I do think it is worth mentioning the whole Trump QAnon thing that people are kind of hanging on to for their hope of the future. And I've obviously listened to you say that we are our own hope, and that is why we're going through this. But you said something very interesting, which really I had never thought of before in all of this, and that is that you can't apply for a job that doesn't exist. So if Trump knew that this is already, that the Queen is not in power and the government is treasonous, then why 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 is he leading people along that path? That's
Exactly. It's all just a distraction. It's false hope.
yeah,
It's false hope. They've indoctrinated us to live in a microwave society where ding and it's done.
yeah,
So people are waiting for a savior, one that isn't
of
going to
course.
come.
Yeah,
The answer to bad government is not more government.
absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
just a basic concept, right? And
Absolutely.
Article 61 applies to all Commonwealth and former Commonwealth countries.
Okay.
So that means the Americans have a constitutional duty to stand under Article 61 along with the rest of us.
Okay.
Their government has no authority either.
Right.
And again, it's unlawful to vote while under a treasonous regime. It's just smoke and mirrors to distract us while they implement the New World Order.
Absolutely.
Same with that Nasara Jasara BS. It's all just marching us straight into the New World Order.
Well, that was actually one of my questions, was about obviously the Great Reset, we know, is the New World Order agenda, the World Economic Forum. Then you had the Nasara Jasara narrative. I heard you mention in an interview something to do with currency, though. So if under common law, what would that look like in terms of our monetary system? Because obviously, like you said, debt is illegal, the banking system's fraudulent, the government's fraudulent. So what would that look like in terms of currency?
We would go back to the Bradbury pound, the people's currency. See, everything we've already had. This is stuff that we already have that they've just stolen so that they can commit crimes against the people and profit from those crimes.
Right.
It's just greed and control. We have a perfect system already. All we need to do is restore what we already have in place.
Right. Okay. And that is where we come in. That's why we need to stand under oath and get ourselves in the right place to do this. So the other thing I was going to ask you was, so people, again, I mean, obviously I would say the one really positive thing out of all of the last year with the whole COVID, narrative, and is that people are waking up to what's going on. So had that not happened, I still believe that people would have just been going about their business and they wouldn't have been taken as much notice of this. I mean, I'd fortunately seen an interview with John Harris years ago, but I'd lived abroad and I hadn't got involved. So now I am actively, I'm in my notice process. But can you just explain to people what happens with our birth certificate? Because again, anyone who's watching this that doesn't know what's going on, who thinks that the world they live in is completely as the BBC report it is and not as we know it is, just explain a little bit about the birth certificate and how that affects us from when we're born.
Well, the birth certificate is a fraudulent document. It actually puts us dead, lost at sea. We're consenting to be dead. So yeah, the oath that we take actually breaks that birth bond.
Right.
So it puts us fully back under common law and removes the legal fiction completely. But yeah, it's just more treasonous documents. That comes from the 1666 Sesquiv Act, which we're going to have to nullify once we restore the rule of law.
Okay. And when you say restore the rule of law, what is it going to take to get to that point?
Well, the people are going to have to come to a redress meeting to find out how we do that. But
okay, fantastic.
But yeah, restoring the rule of law is we need to get proper juries back in our courtrooms.
Okay.
With the right and duty to nullify any act or statute or legislation that is unconstitutional. And under our proper court de jure system, that's the rule of law we're fighting to restore. We also have accountability for our politicians, because when a jury has deemed a piece of legislation as unfair, then any public servant involved in creating that legislation can then be privately prosecuted free of charge by any member of the public. That seriously holds politicians accountable for what they're doing.
Absolutely. Do you think politicians, I mean, with what's going on in the UK at the moment, are politicians aware that this redress is coming? Are they aware that more people are waking up to this, and that are people taking actions already?
Well, they are aware that redress is coming because Article 61 will remain the only law in effect until the rule of law is restored.
Right, okay.
It's the highest constitutional law ever written. It, like I said, it constitutionally dethroned the monarch. There is no government. It's the people that are in power, but they need to be using the law that protects them. So it's just a matter of time.
Right.
Article 61 has never failed the people. It can't. It's designed to win.
Okay.
Only the people can fail themselves.
Absolutely. And is that by not having enough knowledge on the subject and not knowing what their true rights are, and by not taking any action?
That's by not, if you're not taking the oath and using the process to hold the criminals accountable for their crimes, then that onus is on you for aiding and abetting a treasonous regime.
Absolutely.
We all have a constitutional duty to stand under Article 61 and defend the realm. Okay. We are at war. Treason is a silent war. It's fought with paper and pen. Absolutely.
The pen is mightier than the sword.
Exactly.
So we have to use that to our advantage, don't we?
Exactly. And Article 61 is the only way that we can get on the battlefield and fight for our freedom. People need to stop and realize that these criminals are sitting behind closed doors with a stack of documents, acts and statutes, and they're signing away your rights and freedoms on a daily basis with the stroke of a pen.
Wow, absolutely. And
so
people believe in every word of it.
Article 61 is the only way that we can fight for our freedom.
Absolutely. So obviously the fraud issue is one of the things that's obviously come up. This is great interest people is about debt as well. So is it true that all debt is illegal?
Well, I can't say it's illegal. Under our true banking system, we have a central banking system that produces the Bradbury pound, okay, in each one of our Commonwealth countries, okay? And that is actual true currency because my mom used to have some when I was a little kid.
Really?
You could hold the Bradbury pound up to the light and you would see a strip of silver or gold, depending on the denomination, in between the paper of the bills.
Okay.
It's real true currency. And our central banks are supposed to be printing the Bradbury pound, and we are supposed to be able to get zero interest loans. Okay. So if I wanted to purchase a house for £100,000, I would go to the Bank of England and I would borrow £100,000 and I would pay back exactly £100,000.
Yeah. So it's the interest that's illegal because they're making their money from the interest, aren't they?
Yes.
Okay. And that obviously...
And they're not using our central banking system. They're borrowing money from the Federal Reserve at high interest.
Okay. So then we pay that back. They take that from us, yeah. Okay. Yeah. So with the Nasara Jasara, then you said you think that's just a smoke screen. It's just a way
it's all trapped into the New World Order. There's only two sides to this war, the good guys and the bad guys.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I totally agree. I've followed it all.
If you're not on the side of Article 61, then it's on the bad guy side.
Okay. Yep. Fair enough. I mean, obviously, there's the people who are not aware of any of this. I'm not talking about the people who have got the false hope. I'm talking about the people who know nothing about any of this and are just blindly following the government. They're wearing masks, they're doing the social distancing, they're staying in their homes, all of that. Obviously, people like myself and other people who speak out have been termed conspiracy theorists because it's really easy. But that is another reason why it's so important to do this video, because it goes so much deeper, and it goes back so far that once you understand that you're living in this complete lie, then everything else makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, all you got to really do is take a good look around, because this is all Nazi propaganda.
Absolutely.
We've got treason evidence going back to 1942 that proves that this is the Nazi backup plan in case they didn't win the war militarily. That document was used almost verbatim for the 1992 Maastricht Treaty.
Really? Wow.
Yes.
Going back,
and if you look at the propaganda, they're pumping out propaganda left, right, and center. Let's face it, if there was an actual virus, they wouldn't need to advertise it.
They certainly wouldn't know. They certainly wouldn't need to drive the fear and fake the numbers and all of that. So yeah, absolutely.
And the forced vaccinations that they're threatening, you know, all of that started during World War II.
Right. Talking about the vaccine again, so again, under Article 61, once you've taken your oath, the fact that acts and statutes are not applicable to you, then there isn't any way that they can enforce that, is there?
Not without committing high treason,
Right,
which still carries the gallows.
Okay. They don't seem to care though,
they would be trading their life for your needle.
Absolutely. Actually, also, I meant to say this earlier, people have been issuing notices to the police, is that correct?
Yes, once we take the oath, we notify them of our lawful standing.
Okay.
Because, and it's not just notifying them of our lawful standing, it's also making a formal complaint of treason. We want the police to do their jobs and investigate these matters, and they're not doing that.
Have you had any success with the police in terms of them police understanding that they're not standing under their oath that they made?
Oh yes, the police are well aware. We have actually even got the silent majority. I've got police officers throughout the Commonwealth that are just waiting for their chance when they can safely stand with the people.
Wow. Because you are starting to see that.
We've got all sorts of public officials. We've got police, military, we've got doctors, we've got nurses, we've got childcare workers, we've got children's service workers, we've got council members, we've got lawyers, we've got judges. They're all just waiting for their chance to safely stand with the people, because the system is so corrupt.
Of course.
And they can see it, but they feel trapped within that corrupt system, because these are just people who are trying to put food on the tables for their families.
Yeah, of course. They're trapped in it as much as we are, aren't they, in that sense? But the fact the fact that they're realizing.
You can see that with the statistics amongst law enforcement, because PTSD is skyrocketing within the police force. Same with suicide rates. The statistics are through the roof. They know this isn't what they signed up for.
Absolutely. But you're still seeing the police, sadly, daily, you know, on social media, punching people and arresting them unlawfully. And, you know, what...
Well, there are corrupt cops within the regime.
Yeah, of course. So you're going to have the ones that are never going to stand, but you've got the silent majority who are just waiting for the chance. So the more people that stand under common law is going to help to aid then the people who are waiting to stand with the people.
Well, it's going to be the push for redress that makes the difference.
Yeah, of course.
Because when we go for redress, that will give them the day that they can safely stand with the people.
And is the redress, I mean, I know you said you can't actually say what the plan for that is, but is part of the redress taking back the courthouses? Is that part of the redress?
Restoring the rule of law, yes.
Right, okay. Okay. So you can't say more about that. But it's having the juries, as you say, that actually run the courts rather than the judges.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because we, the people, decide how we are to be governed.
Yeah.
Not the courts, not Parliament. It is the people that decide that.
People just don't know
We
what their
decide
power is.
what regulations and rules we agree to live by.
Okay. What about, Jackie, anyone who is wanting to do this? And I had friends who want to do their oath, and they were worried about things like their pension or any benefits that they have to take. Could you just explain how that?
They can't take away our entitlements, our
Right.
benefits, and our services. They're owned by the people.
Okay. So it's the same thing again. It's knowing what your rights are. But how would you, someone who was reluctant to stand under oath because of that, what would they have to do? I think you said something before about you have to sign under duress for something. Is that right?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Yes. I got my I needed a passport to come to the UK, so I signed my passport under duress.
Because really,
maximum law, any act done by me against my will is not my act. So that protects me from aiding and abetting.
Okay.
But at the same time, I got what I needed to do what I had to do.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I understand that. Jackie, I'm sure I've got lots more questions here, but I'm just struggling to find them. Is there anything else that you want to say in terms of the redress tour? And as I said, people getting involved, just visit the website, visit the Lawful Dissent, start, obviously take their oath, do their notices, and read as much as they can to educate themselves on what's actually going on rather than what we think is going on.
Yes. We need the groundwork done for redress. So that's taking the oath and putting on cops, courts, and councils on notice.
Okay.
I suggest people get to a redress meeting if possible, because that's where the excitement is. That's where you're going to see light at the end of the tunnel.
Do you know where your next redress meeting is going to be?
On the 22nd, I think I'm in Nottingham, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. Okay. And I think I'm seeing you on
try
the 24th.
to set one up for Glastonbury this week. I know I'm on a break, but can't really stay away too long. So I'm going to see if I can set one up for Glastonbury. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, the next scheduled one is Nottingham.
Okay, fantastic. So as I said, I'm going to put those links in after. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else that I haven't covered that I want to. I know that obviously with the hopium, we just want people to realise that they are the power and that they don't have to rely on anybody else. So stop trusting the plan and start trusting yourself. And,
exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that has been a huge distraction for people, to be honest.
Well, and that's what they want.
Absolutely. Keep people divided, keep people distracted while they initiate their plan. Yeah. I mean, anyone who still thinks that the New World Order is not real, I mean, what would you say to those?
Go into the Facebook group, Practical Lawful Dissent UK, Canada, and Commonwealth, and read the treason evidence for yourself, because it's all there.
Absolutely, Jackie. I had a lot more questions than I've covered, if I'm honest, but I'm struggling to find them because I'm not as organised as I'd like to have been. So I think if there's unless there's anything else you want to say, Jackie, we'll leave it there. But I'm more than happy to do it again if anything new comes up, or if you want to share any updated information. So is there anything else you want to finish on?
Take the oath, collect the evidence, and help us go for redress.
Absolutely. Okay, well, thank you very much for your time today, Jackie. And I'm seeing you on the 24th, I believe. So I'm really looking forward to that one. That one's in Stevenage. So you are getting about, you are busy. Try to rest up if you can. And I look forward to seeing you very soon.
See you soon.
Take care. Thanks very much, Jackie.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye.